What is up? It's Dakota Layden here from Destination Fear, and you are listening to the Paranormal Zone.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
For the love of all that is holy, Michael Carbno, I have never experienced this emotion before an evening of podcasting. You know what emotion I am referring to? Do you care to take a guess? Take a guess.
Well, I know anger and frustration.
Oh, okay.
It's been a roller coaster.
Those are the obvious ones.
Yes.
I've never been fearful to start recording a podcast
Oh,
before.
yes.
I have a tingling sensation, and not a good one, going up and down my spine right now, just waiting for something. We've experienced it all. Do I dare, I don't know, question the podcasting gods?
No.
You know, people always tell you, don't ever say what else could go wrong, because something will go wrong.
That's right.
But Mike, as I was saying before, seemingly forever ago, probably only about 5 minutes, you've grown since the last time I've seen you. As I mentioned before, you've gone through a growth spurt, in my eyes.
A growth spurt. Well, am I gaining too much weight?
No, I don't mean it that way. What I'm saying is that it's been so long that you look like a different man. I remember this spry man of youthful energy, running around like a little crazy toddler, and now you just look like a a grizzly. Your beard's coming in pretty darn good there.
Yeah, I'm kind of going for the Hemingway look.
The Hemingway look. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it fits you. I do think it fits you, just like your skelly fits you.
Yeah, they go together well.
But again, as I mentioned on our recently released Patreon episode, which was initially going to be a flagship episode, and that's where I'll end it right there.
That's where it should have been ended.
That's where it should have been ended. Mike, the Paranormal Zone has set a new record. Do you dare reveal to our listeners what our triumphant record may be? Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact wording on it. I'm sorry. I know it was a pretty profound milestone in our podcasting career.
I like that phrase, profound milestone.
Yeah.
Mike, the Paranormal Zone has set a new record, not only for the Paranormal Zone, but for Nonsensicast Radio. We're going way back. Also, the Alternate Realm podcast. Neither of those shows has even come close to tying this new record we have set. That record is, drum roll playing in everyone's mind,
Bum, ba-da-bum.
this last month, May of 2024, we set the record, our personal record, for the least amount of podcast episodes released over the course of 30 plus days. Mike,
That's right.
We got one out early May. Let's pat ourselves on the back, shall we? Can you do that? I'm kind of hurting myself right now. But, you can't because you have a new shoulder.
I can't. I blame this whole thing on COVID. I mean, it just has to be. You know.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah. I suppose you could just, we could blame it on any number of things.
Shutting down everything for crying out loud.
And again, I'm not tempting the podcasting gods. I'm really not.
No.
So please leave us alone for at least like an hour. At least for the next hour. Put us into clear. Mm-hmm. Man, this has just been a struggle, Mike. And all jokes aside, I have been brought to the brink of podcasting madness over the course of the last month.
Yep. I have been able to feel that in your texts.
I know the lettering that jumps out of Mike's phone, and he actually can. It's like it's braille. He can feel it. It's just pounding on his skin.
And then everything that you write is in capital letters, so it's like you're yelling at me.
That's not true. I don't. I emphasize a few words here and there by capitalizing the words, but not the entire phrase. Yeah. But Mike, it is good to see you. My God, let's get through this. You see this pile of like fluffy stuff. It looks like dandruff, like dark, minuscule dandruff that I'm rubbing on my shoulders. What I'm doing is I'm dusting myself off, Mike. I'm dusting the podcasting dust off of my shoulders. Okay. I'm getting ready to go. I'm rusty. I'm creaky. I'm cranky. How about you?
I thought you were being serious about stuff on your shoulders. You're so into it. I was like, wow.
Mike, he started squinting and getting closer to his webcam. He's trying to see what I was.
It must be dandruff, but I don't know. I don't see it.
Nope. I'm feeling a little creaky here. A little creaky. I got to loosen up. Got to do the calisthenics, the podcasting calisthenics. I think we can do this, Mike. It's kind of like learning to ride a bike, right? You never forget, hopefully.
That's right. I can do it. I have therapy on Tuesday, so that'll help me a little bit.
Okay, what's that have to do with anything we're talking about right now? I don't get it. It's okay.
Does not matter.
It does not matter. Yeah, well, in case you are new to the podcast, and if you are, you haven't listened to us for over a month. But thanks for tuning in. This is the Paranormal Zone, your weekly, monthly, yearly dose of what have you. Guess what? All things paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself. Well, it looks like the man with the devil over his new shoulder and Bela Lugosi over his left, Mr. Mike Carbno. Now, am I getting your shoulders correct? Is it the left one that has been replaced, or is it the right one? I'm getting them mixed up.
My right shoulder has been replaced.
So I was correct. Yeah, the devil's over the right one, and Bela Lugosi is over your left. Okay, everybody.
So.
In case everyone's wondering what the hell I'm talking about, Mike has a cool image of Dracula, played by the late, great Bela Lugosi, over his left shoulder. Yes, absolutely. Mike's cool little podcasting abode there. He's kind of surrounding himself with
my corner.
All things not macabre. That's what we talk about later on in the show. Moments of the macabre. Sorry for everybody. Moments of the macabre. I have a good one lined up later for that one. I wrote down, Mike, when I was jotting down my professional notes. I just realized moments of macabre. Mm-hmm. It spells out mom. Moments of that doesn't seem like it should fit. Moments of macabre.
It does.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, mom. Maybe I'll just introduce it. It's time for mom. I don't know if people understand that, but
it doesn't have to be literal in the emotional sense.
No, that's very, very true. Very, very true. But it is, Mike, Sunday, June 2nd.
Sunday.
Thank you. There's that podcasting voice I've been waiting to hear.
Every Sunday.
Whether
we're on or not.
Mike just says it.
I wake up doing that. Mary's about to kill me.
I was going to say, much to Mary's delight, or is there another term that pops to mind?
Yeah, I'll find a broken pencil sticking out of my eardrum.
Ow! Holy cow!
Wake up that way. Oof, wouldn't that be bad?
Hopefully it's the eraser end is shoved in your ear, not the other way around.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's all terrible.
Let's see, Mike, where the hell should we go here? Man, it's been forever. We've got a good one lined up for you. We've been going back and forth. And you know what? Just because we have literally gone through every struggle known to podcasting men and women out there over this last month, we decided to just go back to an old faithful subject, one that's near and dear to our hearts. Longtime listeners, ding, ding, dingy, ding, ding, are very familiar. What Mike's looking for is dingy bell. There it is! Yay! The dingy bell has returned. Oh, it's good to see it, too. Good to see you, dingy bell.
Ding dong, dingy bell.
A topic, subject, a story, a true story that's near and dear to our hearts for various reasons. Quite possibly one of the main reasons we started this crazy podcasting thing, focusing on all things paranormal.
Part of it, yeah.
We're going to talk about a haunted tale, the story of Debbie. Yes, true, paranormal, dare I say ghost story, involving the sad, tragic, true story of this young woman's very early demise and our interactions with her since then, Mike. That's no exaggeration. That's no joke.
No joke at all. And all of our longtime listeners, they are now saying, oh, man, rolling their eyes and saying, we got to hear this story again.
Well, the thing is, I thought that, since every subject we have chosen over the course of the month, everything has failed. Quite literally,
Failed miserably.
quite literally up to the last moment. I rephrase that. Literally up to our first attempt at recording tonight, when another. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to tempt the gods.
No.
But all I will say is this is take two, and
and a lot went between take one and take two.
So we just want to have something that we can riff on back and forth and have a cool, meaningful discussion. Maybe we'll have some new insight. Maybe some new insight will pop into our little noggins that we have never revealed before, that has never revealed itself to us. We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. And we shall dive deep into the emotional relationship that we have with this young child.
Absolutely.
It has grown over the years.
Oh, 100% grown. It's changed. It's important.
The respect has gotten deeper.
Yeah. Absolutely, no doubt. It's kind of cool that you said emotions, because that's a good segue into Ghost Gab, Mike, as we have been doing over the course of the last few months when we have been able to record. The new format where we always start off the show with a segment we call Ghost Gab. We talk all things ghostly, paranormal, strange, mysterious, what have you. Sometimes they're kind of hypothetical questions. Other times they're a little bit more focused.
But they're just a little bit gabby.
A little Gabby, absolutely. So that's actually my nickname, Little Gabby. That's this one is kind of it's intriguing to me because I did find, Mike. I found a ghost hunter's personal page. I believe his name is Beck. I think it was like ghosthunterbeck.com. And it was intriguing to me because the opening page was kind of a question and answer where it was listeners/readers written questions that he posted on his page, and he had his personal answers for. And I perused through all of them. There were quite a few, and I picked out 6 that I thought were
6
pretty good for our Ghost Gabs segment, because I'm interested in your thoughts. I love your off the cuff,
off the cuff. Yes, it'll be totally off the cuff because I have never seen nor heard your list. So it'll be totally off the cuff and organically spontaneous.
Hey, I like that. Organically spontaneous. Or spontaneously organic. Whichever way you
something or other you can
just as long as it isn't
in your own words.
Just as long as it isn't what I was going to call the spring of the moment. That I meant to say spur of the moment, but I said spring of the moment.
Well, if you put them both together, you could have got sperm of the moment.
Hey, now! There you go. Yep,
at least you didn't go there like I did.
There's the co-host with the ghost I know. There he is, right there. Wave to our listeners, even though they can't see you.
So, yes, hello. So 6, count them 6.
Count them 6, I do, absolutely. And then we'll dive into, like I said, our haunted tale, the story of Debbie, and then we'll wrap it up with some moments of
macabre.
Macabre. Yeah, I'm really intrigued. Let's go, Mike. Let's go. I am not risking anything. I don't have any extra devices hooked up. I am not using any extra apps. I'm not using my monitor. I am not using any soundboards. I am using our audio software and this new podcasting conference, I guess, software you can call it. I'm not even going to name it until it works for us for like 5 years straight.
Right. And I was just about going to say the name.
Don't
So I'm
say
glad
anything.
You
Yes.
you threw that out.
And I'm not going to say the name of the conference meeting software that I am extremely flustered with and cancel my subscription and let them know how angry and disappointed I was with them. Not that they give a shit, but hey, whatever. I'm not going to name them. Even though it rhymes with boom. That's what I'll say. So.
And groom.
And groom. Yes.
Yes.
And loom. Yeah. All
And
sorts
bloom.
and bloom. Oh, there's all sorts of them. All sorts of them. All right, some of these questions, Mike, I'm going to throw them out, and you're going to spontaneously, organically
wow.
combust.
Okay.
Oh, I mean respond. That's what you're going to do.
I shall do my best.
First one I chose. Number one. First one I chose. Do the dead rest? Ponder. I'm the one who's going to say ponder.
Oh, really? Well, you got to say it right then.
Okay. Do, Mike, the dead rest? Ponder.
There you go.
Okay.
Ponder.
Yes. Was that okay?
Well, yes.
Acceptable?
Some do and some don't. I mean, depends on if they have that unfinished business that they can't rest until it's done.
Ooh, I like how you looked at that.
That's just the obvious.
I thought you were going to say some can and some don't because some are out of shape. So they need to rest. I thought that's what you're going to say. But no. You went a whole different direction entirely. And I like that. Like they will never be at rest until they're, gosh, the word solution popped in my brain. I don't like that word. Until their transition is complete, until they are at
There's
peace.
a good one. When they learn how to kick the can on the subway.
And talk with Patrick Swayze. Yes. So the way that I interpreted that question was like kind of very literally, like, do they need time for rest? Like even on the other side,
yeah, okay.
Like on the other side, like, do they get exhausted trying to contact morons like me and then they have to take a break? That's kind of how I looked at it.
I think on their side, in their limbo or whatever is what it is. It's a limbo. They aren't like awake and flitting around all the time. I think they don't need rest, but they aren't going to be just everywhere all at the same time all day long. So there's a limbo there.
Okay.
I believe. Yes.
Okay. I got that. That's a good answer. That's an acceptable answer. I like that.
Okay, good.
Yes, Mike just grins at me. Okay.
You made me happy.
All right, number 2. We'll move through these fairly quickly, okay?
Okay, number 2.
Do passed on loved ones know family members who came before them and who came after them? Ponder. So let's say, do they, think of a personal family member of yours who's passed away.
Okay.
Anyone. Does he or she now know personally, perhaps, interact with family who came centuries before you and then centuries after you? What say you?
Absolutely. That I believe that 100%.
Oh, okay.
The energy is always going to be there, and there's always going to be that connection of generational, family. There's no reason why everybody can't just know each other.
Like they always have, almost. We've always thought of it, and I don't think this is any groundbreaking thought process here by any means. Time doesn't exist as we know it on that other side. So we have to try and break through that mind constraint of, like you said, the linear process, before, now, and after. Because it's all there. It's all one, right? Not to sound all cosmic,
right.
But that's kind of what it is.
I agree.
Okay, so we both agree that passed on loved ones are now perfectly aware of and know very well those who came before them and those who have come after them. Okay.
Well, that is my opinion.
And that's a good one.
Okay.
I like it. This one's
number 3.
Number 3. This one's fairly simple. Do the souls, Mike, of our past loved ones miss us? Ponder. I like it because it actually can go quite deep. I mean, it's simple, but
it could.
Do they miss us? The way that we perhaps miss them?
I think possibly, but in a different way. I think missing the interaction, would be a big thing for a spectral being. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think.
I mean, I drew a blank there for a second.
No, I know you did. That's.
So pop in there anytime.
Nope, I can always tell when that squirrel stops running on the wheel between Mike's ears up in that cranium of his.
When you see me flopping like a fish, get the net on me.
The way that I was looking at it, and I'm sure this is how you're getting towards it, or getting to as well, Mike. Yeah, they miss us in like the sense of they miss, as you said, physically interacting with us, physically being able to tell us they love us, to hug us, to give us a kiss, all that stuff. To be there to watch the grandkids grow up, all of that, any number of examples. But missing us in the way that we miss them, I think, no. Because they know so much more than we do now.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps they don't need to miss us the way we would miss them because there's still that unknown for people like you and I.
Exactly.
I mean,
I agree with that.
We are believers, 195% believers. Mike is almost so much a believer he knows. Well, that's to say, that there is an afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still, I mean, can you go to the top of the mountain, Mike, and scream till you pass out from lack of oxygen to your head or to your brain? Are you that certain that you would just toot your own horn in the world's largest megaphone and say, there is an afterlife, boys and girls? I think you would, by the way.
I could very well. And I would have to profess my belief in that. It's what I've based so much of my life on for decades. Mm-hmm. A lot of decades now.
See, that's kind of what I'm getting at too, is that your belief is what you just said. Belief.
Yes.
Do you know? Those on the other side, no. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Even if we believe 5 million bajillion % in the afterlife, we don't know for certain. Mike's staring at me blankly again. Do you kind of see what I'm getting at?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. So we both agree that they miss us, but not in the way that we would perhaps miss them, because there's still a little tiny inkling of a doubt for us.
Yeah, and then also I think of the sense of time over there is so different than what we have that is that even a thought? Is that even a possibility?
That's a great question.
Missing part.
That's a great way of putting it too, because maybe they don't even have an opportunity to miss us because it's like instantaneous. There's no such thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, we can get really deep there, but I don't want to hurt my brain too much.
Yeah.
All right, number 4.
Stomach ache on that one.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Should I cut it down to 5 then? We'll do 2 more.
No. Whatever. Hey, I'm good.
How about every hey? Huh? What? Well, this one's kind of silly, but I thought it'd be fun to add to it. Do the dead attend their own funerals here on Earth?
I would love to think so. Because I would certainly want to be at mine.
Oh, would you?
Oh man,
just to hear what people say about you.
Yeah, and then actually, just was it yesterday? I think Mary and I were talking about things like funeral things and and cremation and whatever. Hey,
casual
we're 61
talk.
years old. It's like we should be having these.
No.
These
can you wait
ideas.
Another 20 years yet or so?
I wish, but no.
Why?
But I wanted to put in there in my last wishes that I want to have the whole crock pot, potluck type, all the great funeral food that you can possibly come up with there in the basement of a church and everybody comes and just eats, tater tot hot dish and,
Ooh.
shepherd's pie and stuff like that, and all the baked goods and
tater tot hot dish
green bean casserole,
fantastic,
turkey and chicken.
All right, Mike's getting
fried
hungry.
Chicken. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was just admiring your ability to just name a bunch of food off the top of your head.
Well, all you got to do is think of what great funeral food is, and that's what I would want. And I'd want to be.
See, that to me sounds wrong to me. No, that makes great funeral food. What? I understand it because it's funerals. They are meant to be celebrations of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right. So I get it. So you have the great food, but that just sounded weird to me. that makes some terrific funeral food. It's like, man.
Well, it does. But that's what I want, and I'd be milling around all the people. And
would you be playing tricks on them at your own funeral?
Eat pieces of the tater tots off of their plate. Make them disappear, stuff like that. Tug on some suit coats.
So you are planning on being cremated? Not to be all morbid here, but you are planning to be cremated?
Yes, and Mary is also. And I was also trying to figure, well, should my ashes be kept so they can be, transferred around from generation to generation, or ending up in the corner of a garage somewhere up in the loft, or great grandpa's ashes are up there somewhere. I don't
Well,
know.
Yeah, you don't want it to turn into like an accidental litter box or something like that.
Exactly. And then I started thinking, well, maybe there'd be some place where I'd want to have my ashes spread over. So
yeah, right.
There's that thought.
Well, and the reason that I asked too is because if your body was laying there and the spirit of old trickster Mike was lingering at his own funeral, I was wondering if you'd make your own eyeballs pop open or something like, or open. All of a sudden your eyelids are just flaying open. Flaying? Is that a word? It is now.
You made it.
Or you slowly lift up your right arm and start waving at the people in the pews. That's a little too much energy for you, I think.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You have to think of the energy that it takes between our dimensions.
So you do believe that the dead, if they want to, attend their own funerals?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's actually probably an option that we're all given at the time of our death.
Oh, that'd be intriguing.
Would you like to attend your own funeral? And hey, yeah, I want to see how many people do or don't show up, or have a stray dog that walks in, and that's about it.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah.
Observe from a safe distance. All right, number 5.
All right.
This one's kind of interesting. Does a passed on spouse perhaps arrange a new love connection for the partner they left behind? Ponder.
I think that's every bit possibility.
Yeah?
I think they made a movie about it. Kind of a lighthearted
really
rom-com, I think. Yeah. But
if they haven't, they should, but I'm pretty sure they probably made several of them, probably in the 80s.
I'm sure. Like yeah.
I think that's a possibility. I mean, I think especially if it's a younger couple who are, tragically one of them passes away.
Right.
And they don't want them to be sad and lonely for the rest of their life, and so rest of their lives, and so they maybe help push another soul towards their lover's soul. It's because you are. I mean, on the other side, you're wiser. I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
You do not feel such things as jealousy.
Right.
You do not feel such things as bitterness, anger. You just want love and happiness. And you want your former lover / partner to feel that happiness. So why not? Why wouldn't you kind of help nudge and push them into another relationship? I think that's very, very possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. It and probably happens more often than what people could even imagine.
Yeah, in like the weirdest, seemingly mundane ways, and then maybe they only find out about it years down the road. These similarities they may have had. And, I heard this one song this one day, and it made me take a right instead of a left.
Yeah.
And then, really, I did the same. Any sort of simple, weird, little, apparently meaningless things, but they are not. They are far more than meaningless.
Absolutely, I agree.
And finally, we kind of touched on it a little bit, Mike. Do the dead have emotions? Ponder.
Yes, the ones that have not passed on.
Thank you for clarifying
stuck,
that. Yes.
And that, the hauntings and the ghostly things that go on. I think those spirits are in a different category where they have carried over their emotions and their anger and whatever else might go along with it, and that would still be their personality.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying. Like the ones who have yet to make that transition, right, or the ones who are kind of stuck, or ones who maybe perhaps do not know that they are no longer a physical entity. Any number of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think those who are at peace, as I mentioned before, as far as like the negative emotions, no, I think we are beyond that at that point.
Right.
But we still feel love, we still feel passion, we still, we want peace, we want happiness.
We've ascended up into a higher dimension.
Yes, thank you.
Existence.
So yeah, I do think they can, and perhaps those who are, as you said, Mike, those who are maybe still lingering, lurking, perhaps have yet to move on. Those are the ones who create those negative energies, that create those negative hauntings, that make life miserable and uncomfortable for those who are still there. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Negative emotions, yes, not necessarily the petty. I don't know. I don't want to say meaningless because negative emotions are not meaningless. But you get what I'm saying on that.
Right, exactly.
I believe you do. Well, I think that was a pretty good Ghost Gab segment, Mike. Quick and easy and to the point. I didn't hurt your brain too much, did I?
No, I feel painless.
He feels painless.
And in my brainless.
And that's nothing to do with the meds that he's on. But still, they are working.
Yeah, they do.
How is your shoulder doing? Is it moving? Can you move it a little bit more and more each day?
Yep, I've been moving it quite a bit.
Nice.
I have a little bit more reach. I can almost probably feed myself with my right hand, but not quite.
Hey, progress.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's Mike, you're going to be good as new before you know it. And we're going to be heading off to the flippin' Sally House again, and you're going to be ready to run through the walls at the Sally House by that time. So
yeah. But I won't be as good as new. I'll be as good as probably 80% maybe ish.
Well, that's about 80% better than you have been in the last 2 years.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Mike, I think it's time to dive into the meat of the show. No disrespect to the topic, obviously, but that is kind of our little catchphrase. Time to dive into the meat. Yeah, Mike, a haunted tale, the story of Debbie. Again, longtime listeners know very well what we're talking about. But in case you are new to the program, where shall we begin, Mike, when it comes to the importance of this child known as Debbie and how she has affected and altered our lives?
Well, we should go all the way to the very beginning.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
It didn't take long after I moved to Park Rapids, which is the area that Patrick lives in. Found this nice little house that very reasonably priced, rent, and things were happening in the house, and that just we'd hear like the pounding on the wall, like always in threes, pounding or knocking or a lot of different degrees of how hard the knocks were, and I thought, well, this there's something obviously going on, and here find out that there was a little girl that lived in the house that was actually killed by a garage door falling on her. Her and a little boy were playing, and there's a ski that was propping up the door, and I don't know if she knocked it out or whatever, but heavy garage door came down and killed her. And that's the very, very, very beginning of finding out, well, there's something going on. There's a story behind things that are going on in the house, that could have a very strong connection to the family and to Debbie, which is going on in the house.
Now, Mike, let our listeners know, those who may not recall, longtime listeners who may not recall, did you and your then significant other, did you start experiencing unexplainable events in that house, and you looked into the house and learned of the history, or did you learn of the history before you moved into the house?
No, I didn't know the history of that until after things started going on, but I can't remember how I learned of Debbie. I think it was somebody that we worked with and had brought it up or something. I mean, that's just vaguely in my mind of how I got that story about Debbie.
Well, it's a very well-known story in this area. I mean, those who were adults back then, and those who were not necessarily adults, teenagers on up. I'm sure most, if not all, heard of it, and quite a few of them still remember it because that was a big-time, very, very sad, tragic story. 3-year-old girl, crushed by this garage door, just playing, having fun, loving life, and tragedy occurs. And Mike, you start experiencing odd things at your house. Unexplainable things at your house. Do you recall any number of different experiences you had? You mentioned the knocks. What else do you recall happening in that house?
Let's see. Well, I've mentioned this on the show many times, where I'd be sitting in it was an old antique or vintage easy chair, and I'd be watching TV, and I'd have my arms on the armrests, and all of a sudden I'd see an orb come up from the side of the chair, and would zip down along my arm and then up into the air. And so things like that were happening, and that was a very interesting thing, but like usual, I took it, in stride.
Just in stride, like, oh, ho hum, just another day in the life of Mike. Yep. The paranormal postboy, he doesn't get that nickname for nothing, boys and girls.
Yeah. But, the weirdest one, I think, I'm trying to think, though, was this it was in this house.
Just to be clear, sometimes it gets kind of muddled because you lived in 2 houses in Park Rapids, and both of them were highly active, and so it's kind of hard to distinguish between which house had which experience. But go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Right, but anyway, I was in the bedroom. I was laying down, and my wife at the time, she was out in the living room, and all of a sudden I heard what sounded like somebody like moaning, and then all of a sudden like a big bang, like falling on the floor. So it's like, here I'm thinking, what, did she just have a heart attack and drop or something,
Oh, God.
So I got up and I was running out to the living room, leaving the bedroom, and here she was coming towards the bedroom because she heard the same thing, and she thought it was from the area where I was at.
She thought something happened to you.
Yeah, and I mean, and it was like a very distinctive, like a moaning, like somebody, just, in pain or something, and then this loud loud crumpling noise, like, a body falling to the floor. It's just weird. But
now,
that was interesting.
This thought just popped in my brain. I'm not saying I buy into it, but could it have any similarity to the sound of a garage door falling? I mean, I'm not saying that's what
that's, if it was muffled, a garage door falling muffled, that could be possible. I wanted to throw that out there. I'm not saying I buy into that, but no, well, that's a good thought, though.
Hey, sometimes you have to just kind of throw out those thoughts before they disappear forever, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Throw that into the mix.
Do you remember if the moan sounded like an adult? Or is that too hard to answer?
To me, thinking back on it right now, I would say yes.
Okay.
So, but then again, you know, I'd hear like coughing or whatever out in the kitchen when nobody was there. Or the time that a man was seen down the hallway, all the way down the other end of the house, going from the laundry room into the bathroom. And, you know, a lot of stuff like that.
And that was the ex who saw that, correct?
Exactly, yep.
Now I'm starting to get some of my memories mixed up. I mean, you've told me probably hundreds of times. Is this where you had strong, like, odors that you noticed, or was that in the other?
No, the biggest one that happened that I remember was sitting on the couch, and it was it went like in a L shape, I believe. But anyway, where I was sitting, all of a sudden, what's that?
I said the odor was in an L shape, or are you talking about the couch?
The couch.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I was sitting in one part and somebody else was sitting on the other part. And all of a sudden, I smelled this old lady type perfume so strong. And I said something about it. It's like, wow. And then all of a sudden, she said she smelled it really strong. And then it's like it passed by us. And then, as quick as it was there, it was gone.
Like someone was walking past you.
Right. Yep. Like an old lady.
Yeah, no offense to old ladies by any means. But
no. I'm married to one, so. Sorry, dear, that was a joke.
She's ignoring you. So.
Yeah, I think so.
The secret to all marriages is the ability to ignore, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny.
Mike, we can't. We'd be remiss. We cannot not talk about the mirror. The mirror.
The Debbie mirror. Yes.
The Debbie mirror.
Which I have here.
Briefly talk about that and why that is significant.
Well, that was in the house where Debbie lived. It was on like a stand. It was an old antique washstand mirror, I believe. And it was propped up against the wall on the floor. And just kind of a neat, old decoration, whatever. But one day, weren't you with me when we first saw those?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
And you're talking about what? We saw what?
Fingerprints and a handprint and a part of a face print.
What looked to be almost like lips.
Yeah. Like a little bit like a little 3-year-old kid.
And yeah, to be as brief as possible, I was at your house. We were hanging out at that time. You had pointed out the mirror before for whatever reason. Nothing was ever noticed. I'm talking personally for me now. Nothing out of the ordinary was noticeable, upon that mirror. And then at one point during the evening, we're casually hanging out, probably sitting on that L-shaped couch, and just I happened to glance at that mirror, and I said, basically, Mike, do you see that? Are you guys seeing this too? And then we all kind of glanced at it. My God, there are fingerprints, smudges all over this mirror. Like you said, almost like a face print. Little kissy lips, like maybe a little kid was doing the little up on the mirror.
You could see the cheek and the lips like that. And then the hand.
And to be absolutely clear, there were no kids around that mirror ever.
No. I know that for a fact.
So that has always been ultra intriguing. We took several photos of that. They are posted on our Patreon page. You can see my reflection in the background with the classic flip phone, cell phone. You can, but you can see the pictures clearly. You can see the fingerprints, the tiny little hands. I don't know, man. That's something that is super, super intriguing to me and you. I mean, was perhaps Debbie hanging out and doing her thing?
And it's not like there's anything special about the mirror. I picked it up in an antique store, so it doesn't, not like it has a connection to the house or anything, but
But
still
maybe
could
it
be
was-
some kind of a portal, and that.
Well, how about this, Mike? How about this possibility? Debbie never left that house, perhaps, or that area. She's constantly playing, and all of a sudden she notices this nice, fancy, shiny old mirror in the house that had never been there before, and so she wanted to get a close-up view of it.
That's a good thought. Yeah,
maybe.
And then there is also the box of very little young girl clothes that I found up in the attic.
Oh my goodness, that's yes.
They,
that you thought were.
What's that?
That you thought perhaps had what on them?
Oh, well, blood. It looked like dried blood, and then the box that they were in, it looked like there was dried blood splattered on that. And there definitely would fit the size of Debbie. I mean, she was a 3-year-old little girl, and that's what these clothes were. Like, they're little dresses that would have been from that, earlier
period, yeah.
70s period, whatever. But I had brought them down, and I had them in the kitchen, and I was looking through all of them and that, and I had them down for a few days, but it just kind of freaked me out a little bit. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I ended up bringing them back up there, and as far as I know, they might still be there.
Damn.
So.
Well, I mentioned this to you as well. Gosh, probably a year ago now, when you gave me those old laser discs of the old of the house when we used to hang out there, and did a lot of recording, some ghost hunting stuff too. And I posted some of that stuff on the Patreon. And I'll be posting more and more short little clips, all cool stuff. At one point, when we're up in that loft area,
up in the attic,
up in the attic, yeah, and we were goofing around. We're like kind of taking promo shots, whatever, for our upcoming ghost hunting duo.
Yeah.
And you would casually
wearing our black shirts.
Our black shirts, yeah.
and I didn't have really any gray hair in my beard.
No, absolutely not. And my head was even bigger than it is now because of my hair. So yeah. So I looked like I was going to fall over at any time. But but your ex, who was filming us at that time, you had casually mentioned about the same what we were talking about the clothes up in that loft, and she like shushed you. She was like, let's just not talk about that. And you're like, oh okay. Do you remember that at all? Because it's on the video.
Really, I don't.
Yeah, she just didn't want you to talk about it. Maybe she just felt really uncomfortable about it.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't recall that at all. But yeah. That's weird.
Yeah. So,
some interesting that you caught on the film.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to play it for you sometime. Yeah. Well, I'm repeating myself. I talk about being remiss. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the audio clips that we captured at that house, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
And again, to preface all of it, you can find all of these. We think that they're amazing. I think if we played them for professional ghost hunters or people interested in the paranormal, they would find them amazing as well. We shared them with a couple of our guests. We talked about them, and they were like, whoa, that's impressive. That's pretty crazy. And they gave us their own theories as to what it may be.
I'm sure we've had Dustin listen to it.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But that's a good idea. Maybe I should send him the clip and give him a brief rundown of the setting.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he wouldn't mind being on again. That would be like his 5th appearance.
That'd be his 5th appearance. That's right.
It's kind of like Buddy Hackett for the Tonight Show.
I'm going to call him that. Just so you know, Dustin, Mike referred to you as the Buddy Hackett of the Paranormal Zone.
Just on there all the damn time. You can only hear so many Buddy Hackett jokes, I tell you.
So, that's great. Again, to be as brief as possible, but to be as clear as possible, this was when Mike and I were becoming really good friends, and we started becoming good friends because we had the shared interest in the paranormal, and I was just blown away by all of your experiences and your knowledge and your opinions, and then we ended up just having a lot of things in common, and we've been fantastic friends ever since then. I'm not being corny, I'm not being cheesy, it's the truth. We were interested in starting like a little YouTube channel almost 20 damn years ago about ghosts and paranormal and all that stuff. we would have been at the forefront, Mike, if we actually would have done it 20 years ago. People talk about people complaining that we don't do enough YouTube now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyways, getting back to where I was going, we wanted to get into like ghost hunting ourselves, and we did. We did a few amateur investigations at the courthouse, at a couple other houses, your house, to ranging levels of success, various levels of success, I should say. At one point, Mike, as longtime listeners know, and they've heard it 1,000 times, but for new listeners, we had the digital recorder going on your island in your kitchen. Just recording the whole time. 4 people in the house, you and I and our significant partners back then. All of our voices are accounted for. I have like this 22-minute clip where there's several anomalous, unexplained, I'm just going to call them paranormal audio clips. I don't know how else to describe them. Simple as that.
Yeah. And some comedy as well.
Some comedy, sure. But the best one, a couple of them are freaky sounding. The best one, Mike, one we're talking about, you hear all of our voices. You're sharing the story. Pam says, well, tell them what happens every night. And you're talking about the door that is constantly opened. Every morning, you shut the door at night, and it's always open the next morning. You shut it, and it's open, and there's no explanation for it. The door going down to the basement.
That's right.
And we go back and forth a bit. And of course I say, well, I'm being my skeptical, cynical self. And I'm like, well, whatever, it's not wind, it's not this, it's not that. And then we say, well, okay, that's debunked. And we make a joke about the word debunked. And we all walk down the steps. You hear our voices fade as we go out of audible range from the digital. Then clear as day, we picked up what?
The very clear female voice saying, "It's Debbie."
Clear.
Like just like a happy,
Happy, yes.
Yeah, it's Debbie. Oh, it's Debbie. Good to see her.
That's a great impersonation of it. That was or a great representation of it, because that's what it was. It was like exuberant, or like exclaiming to us, like, it's Debbie. Like, hello, guys. I mean, do you not know this?
Could that have been Debbie herself appearing, or not appearing, but at least able to send a recording at an older age, where her voice would be more clearly understood than a 3-year-old little girl?
That's another way of looking at it. I don't think we've ever talked about that possibility before.
No, this is just crap that's coming out of my ears and my butt. It's just
gross. I hope you have toilet paper next to you.
Oh man, yeah. But yeah, that's just
like an adult version of Debbie.
Yeah.
Or an older version of Debbie. Who's able to enunciate more clearly as to who it is. And would she be speaking in the third person then, kind of like saying instead of saying it's me, she says it's Debbie. See, one thing that we've talked about and kind of come to an agreement on is that it's some other spirit who is coming through and letting us know that it's Debbie. It's this little girl who's running around playing still, opening up the door and shutting it and doing any number of other things. So some other spirit in that house. And you strongly believe there were several in that house.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. I think there's a portal.
Yes, you believe there was a portal in that house, and something was letting us know it was Debbie, and that's the voice that we picked up.
Yeah, and it could have been anybody, not related or...
But distinctly female.
But very much so female, yeah. It's Debbie.
Again, this EVP is on our Patreon page. It's incredible. Still unexplainable. We never will explain it. There's no way. It's not us, boys and girls. That's all we can say. It is not from the living. It is something else. What it is, we don't know. We have no idea. And again, like I said, Mike, there are several other weird EVPs caught during that clip. Another clip as well. That one that definitely seemed like it was mocking me, Mike. Not once, but twice.
Yeah, you've been mocked more than once.
It was mocking me by mimicking me almost.
Very much so, yeah.
And then sometimes I still get creeped out. I'm like, is that like an evil little voice, or is it just being playful and teasing me? I go back and forth. I don't know. Same with with both the press play, Mike, and the one where at the very beginning of the clip of the 21-minute clip when I'm telling you about some movie or something that you need to watch, you know. And what I tell you about this movie is repeated exactly immediately after I say it in this tone that I can't explain, other than it's like teasing me, like, gosh, you're a geek or something. I don't know. I really don't, but it's spooky, but it's cool.
I think it's somebody. I'm going to say it's a she, and she's just having fun.
You think so?
At your expense. I think it's because.
Is it the same one that said it's Debbie? They sound different.
No, this is just impressions that are just starting to really storm at me. I'm just going to say them as
please do.
As they come. Just some on air stuff. Yes, I believe it is the same woman. I just reconcurring that it's not a family member, but she's been there and she knows a lot about what's going on, and she has fun, and she has fun at. Well, that day was at your expense, but when you would react to it, and even the newest stuff, she still gets a kick out of it.
I love that.
I mean, that's all just pouring through my head. I don't know if it's not, you know.
I love it.
If it's not like a psychic premonition or getting some kind of a picture, I should at least be a writer. I think.
I think so.
But
hey, maybe that's your calling in your next existence. You'll be the Stephen King of paranormal novels.
I even have a picture of this woman. She's not very tall. She's just like 5'4"-ish.
Really?
5'4", 5'3", and she's got.
This is like beaming down
sandy-colored hair. Sandy-colored hair that's got just straight bangs, and then the hair goes down to like the shoulder length, and like I said, it's a lighter color, and she's wearing what looks like a house gown, like a nightgown type, or a pajamas type thing, like a floor length. That's it. That's all I got.
I love it. I love it when Mike gets in these zones, though. I mean, again, I'll do the play-by-play because he does this the same way every time. He closes his eyes, he kind of looks down, and he has either his left or his right hand up. In this case, his left hand, because his right shoulder has been replaced, and he's like kind of shaking and moving his left hand with his eyes closed, and he's telling us what he's seen in his head. He does it all the time the same way.
Yeah, and I have such a strong vision of her back there by the basement door, and also I get a strong picture of her like where I was standing that one time when the press play thing came up.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And I see her standing there, but she was like bent over a little bit because she's laughing. I mean, this is all stuff that's coming so strong to me.
That's awesome. Oh, I love it.
But anyway, whether it's real or not, I don't know.
Well,
but
I mean, again, not just with what we believe to be evidence of something paranormal going on in Mike's house. Not that it's just so coincidentally in tune with the tragic story that went down in that house. I mean, clear as day, it's Debbie.
Yeah.
A little girl named Debbie got killed outside of that house in the garage. I mean, it's too much to be a coincidence, in my humble opinion. But not only that, Mike. She's hung with us.
Okay.
Yep. Nope. You're back. So not only I was just talking about the the audio and the connections to the story, but she's stuck with us since then.
Yeah.
She hasn't left my mind.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. I mean, it's even after I haven't lived in that area for a number of years now, it's still a big part. And like I said, the Debbie mirror, it's always here, where I sit when we record, and
how did you feel?
We always talk about her.
We always talk about her. How did you feel when I let you know that I did I did that research at the library and I found the flipping article from back in the 3 days after she had passed. I mean, I'll let you know how I felt. I filmed it and I posted a short little clip. I was weirded out, man, when I pulled that up and I saw her for the first time. I had no idea what she looked like, and I saw little Debbie, the little girl. I was weirded out, man. I mean, I don't know if I was sweating, but my adrenaline was pumping.
Yeah, I know. I was the same way, because finally getting to see,
see her face.
And, and the size of her face and everything, I could imagine that being the size of that face print that was on the mirror.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
It was eerie, but I mean, I don't want to say eerie in a cool way, because I don't know, but it again, it moved me. I'll put it that way.
That's a good way to put it.
I felt different the rest of the day. I'm not joking. That whole night, I felt just odd. I mean, not in a bad way. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm not doing it justice, but it affected me. It moved me for sure. And, and then finally, Mike, when I found her final resting spot, finally.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was another one.
Another one that was hugely important. You need to get up here and go and find her spot. I think that'd be very important for you.
Very. I totally agree. Yep.
That was, again, that same feeling kind of overtook me when I found it. I was like, oh my God, there it is. She's right here. Well, her physical remains are here. Again, talk about moving me. I had that same feeling, and I also wanted to slap myself because I kept going to the wrong cemetery for years, thinking that that's where she was. But
wasn't it a small cemetery somewhere, you thought?
Yeah. I thought it was in a town called Lake George, but it was actually about 7 miles before Lake George, in a town called right outside of Emmaville, and the cemetery is called Lake Emma Cemetery.
Emmaville, the big town of Emmaville.
Yeah, the one house or the one store. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, there are like 3 people that live there or something.
Yeah, it's a restaurant / hotel, I think is what that is.
Yeah, motel and gas station, convenience store.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat little spot, but.
So why do you think, Mike? Why do you think Debbie has stayed with us in so many different ways? I mean, you've even said stuff like when we were making our first plans to the Sally house, you had this strong feeling that Debbie was going to somehow be with us.
Right.
Well, why is that? Why? I don't want to sound corny. I don't want to sound cheesy. I don't want to overthink it. I mean, it's not like Debbie is seeking out us to tell her story at all. I mean, people know her tragic story, but
right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts? Why is she so important to us still?
It's something that she just fell into our laps as far as, this odd thing, and knowing that there's stuff going on in the house and then having that connection. It was such a strong thing about what we believed in at the time and what we were trying to do and wanting to do, that, and we gave her so much energy. And I think that energy built up to where it's like, kind of more like, matching ours kind of thing, and just being part of a group of people.
Maybe perhaps we were giving her enough energy that she was able to provide that to this other entity that was in the house in order to let us know who it was.
Sure. Yeah.
Who's doing this, because maybe for whatever reason she still couldn't reach us or reach anyone. She couldn't be heard unless it was through another spirit. I don't know.
We never know.
I don't know.
But yeah, we were like batteries for her to, I think, to exist and just be a real part of us, you know.
It's again. I mean, that's kind of the gist of the story. We don't want to overdo it. We've talked about it several times, but it's important to us. I would love to speak with her surviving family members.
I would too, but that's kind of touchy.
It has to be so. I mean, yeah, it's something you'll never get over. Of course.
Yeah.
But it would be something you would have to approach very delicately, and just perhaps they'd be open and willing to talk about it. Because I know for sure her mom is still alive. Again, this was early 70s. My mom knew the family, and the last I spoke, she was saying that, yeah, I believe she said both the parents are still alive, and the mom for sure. But again, is that something they would ever want to talk about? I don't know. Maybe it'd be cathartic. Maybe they've moved on and they don't want to. We don't know.
And then there's also the little kid that grew up that is still there, that was with Debbie when this happened. He'd be another one to talk to, but I don't think that would be a very good thing for him.
Well, he's the one that he's been someone that I've known for many years. He graduated with one of my older brothers. He's a baseball player, and I haven't spoken to him for years, but years ago, he stopped by my former workplace, and we were casually talking. I must have been on break. We were out in the lunchroom, and casually talking with him about this very thing, and he says that he still has nightmares. He feels like he's been visited in his dreams, not by Debbie, but by others involved, parents, any number of things. But it hasn't left him. It hasn't. I mean, how could it? He was a young kid too, and he saw this happen.
Yeah.
Oh man, that
terrible.
That has to be terrible. Has to be terrible.
It'd be interesting to have him on the show, but that would just be too much for him, I think.
I know, that's the thing. Absolutely.
We could really learn. We could really learn a lot because he obviously knew the family, and
he would know the story probably inside and out, and all the sad details. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just got a really overwhelming, not good feeling. So.
Yeah.
Well, again, Debbie, wherever you are, we wish you nothing but the best, and thank you for being a part of our lives. We can't thank you enough, and we're so sorry about what happened to you. We hope that you are somehow at peace.
Yes.
Mike, it's time to transition to some mom. Macabre. We always end the show on light notes, right?
Yes, light notes.
Well, before we do you have any final thoughts on the Debbie story?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. Okay. I mean, there's that emotion that's there.
Oh, there always is.
So, yeah, like you said, you want to talk to the parents, but you just don't know if it's ever it would be appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. That would be something.
I would never be able to even go approach them to ask.
It'd be something that it would have to be by absolute chance in a casual conversation, and they would have to offer.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because I would never really broach that topic. I wouldn't have the balls to do that. And quite frankly, probably I don't know if it'd be disrespectful to just flat out ask. Right. I think it would be disrespectful to flat out ask, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But then again, you have to have balls in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
Patrick, so. No, I'm just kidding.
Stop it. Okay. All right, Mike, we're going to wrap up the show. Some light humor.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Oh, the moments of the macabre.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap it up with some mom here. Moments of macabre. This one, Mike, is entitled The Most Macabre Death Rituals in Human History.
Oh, boy. This could be interesting.
You ready to hear some kind of gruesome stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Don't make my stomach turn. No.
The following are some of the most weirdly disturbing rites ever. Proof that there is no limit to the twisted brains and dreams and nightmarescapes that we are capable of devising. That's very true. The human mind is wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. The first one is simply, the happy old term cannibalism.
Yeah.
Good old cannibalism.
It's a bit nutty. It's a bit chewy. Tastes like pork.
Okay, that was pretty.
Anyway, go ahead.
It goes on. It says here, for some, the only way to fittingly bid a beloved adieu would be by eating them. Now, the technical anthropological term is actually endocannibalism. It says here that this frightful ritual was typically performed in select tribes of Papua New Guinea.
Oh, yeah. That very well known for headhunting cannibals.
Papua New Guinea. Wasn't he?
Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, wasn't he married to Mama Cass? Papua New Guinea? I'm kidding. Terrible. Dumb.
Boy, oh boy.
Hey. Come on. Now, essentially what would occur is that after death, members of the tribe would put together a festival wherein everyone would be encouraged to cook, then eat the recently deceased. This macabre tradition was seen as a way of encouraging others to make peace with the idea of dying and normalizing it as much as possible.
Normalizing it by eating
eating it.
Wow.
Let's make this normal. Yeah. Boy, Jeffrey Dahmer would have felt right at home.
Yeah, he would have weaseled his way into that party.
Ever heard of sky burials, Mike?
Sky burials, no.
No, they're a little different from tribal cannibalism. This ritual is still colored by the idea that mourning of the flesh is actually equal to eating the flesh. Tibetan Buddhists practice ritual dissection or, quote, sky burials, which entails chopping up the dead into small pieces and giving the remains to animals, especially birds.
Oh.
Predictably, vultures stand to gain the most from this mode of dealing with death.
I bet they're circling all day long.
They're checking out the latest, hottest sky burials for sure. Now, at first, this kind of burial might seem unnaturally uncaring and brutal, but the reality is that it is completely in keeping with Buddhism, which does not believe in commemorating a dead body. The flesh is merely a vessel for the soul, and maintaining the circle of life by providing a sustainable diet for other life forms is seen as a compassionate gesture.
Well, I tell you what, I don't see it. I don't see it.
So what you're saying is that good funeral food you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, that's no tater tot hot dish.
Okay. No human flesh hot dish on the agenda.
Is that a toe in there? That's no tot. That's a toe.
Some tuna toe hot dish.
Tuna toe hot dish.
Oh.
Boy. Look, see that rack of ribs over there?
Yep, I knew them personally.
Yeah.
Good golly, Miss Molly. Okay.
But dang it, I respect him.
Yes.
So I'm going to eat it.
Amen. And damn it, did he taste good?
Oofta.
Sati, S-A-T-Y. While this once common practice has been banned in India for a long, long time, sati often saw recently widowed women emulating themselves on their husband's funeral pyre.
Emulating?
Emulating. I-M-M-O-L-A-T-I-N-G. I'm assuming
like an
they
effigy.
threw themselves upon the fire. Is that right? I could be wrong.
Oh, that's terrible.
A similar practice is said to have occurred among the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Goths, and other societies. The roots of this bleak custom remain rather unclear, but it could have something to do with a commonly held belief that has provided a way for husband and wife to peacefully enter the afterlife together. Scholars have seen it as a more practical attempt to prevent wives from killing their husbands for money.
Boy, oh boy, one extreme to the other.
The macabre ritual is disturbing on many levels, especially in that it wasn't always voluntary on the part of women. Of course, it wasn't voluntary on the part of women. They were sometimes thrown into the fire against their will by other people in attendance, and then burnt alive at the stake. The tragic imagery these processions would produce was not that of a distraught wife mourning for her husband, but rather a collective witch hunt. I concur on that one. So,
yeah, absolutely.
where's the grieving wives? Throw them on the pyre. Man. Now this one,
Come on, baby, let my fire.
Oh, come on. Now you just ruined that song. You ruined it.
No. There's no way you can ruin any song by the Doors.
That's true. That's very true. Very, very true.
Yes.
This one I did. Okay.
Yeah. I'm done now. Go ahead.
I do remember reading this one, and this one's pretty gross and disturbing.
Okay. No. Okay.
And by I don't mean gross like vomit gross. I mean it just makes you feel gross.
Okay.
Because it's awful.
Okay.
The Viking death ritual.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Yes, Mike, perhaps the worst case of the macabre intersecting with deeply misogynistic rituals. Mike keeps fiddling with his headphones. That's what the noise is, everybody.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I moved my mic.
Intersecting with deeply misogynistic rituals can be found in the way Vikings dealt with the death of a chief. According to various historical records, the customs following a leader's passing are incredible for their stark brutality. All right, you got to prepare yourself for this a little bit.
I'm ready.
The chief's body would first be placed in a temporary grave for 10 days, while new clothes were being knitted and sewn for him to don.
And the body is ripening.
Nothing wrong with that, except for the ripening aspect, yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this is where it gets awful. A slave girl would offer to join him in the afterlife by first being given insane amounts of intoxicating drinks. Once the cremation ceremony started, the girl would go from tent to tent, having sex with every man in the village.
Oh, boy.
Now, this is according to historical scholars. During these encounters, which clearly are closer to a societal sanctioned form of rape, I agree, the men would gleefully declare, quote, "Tell your master I did this because of my love for him." The girl would then be taken to a tent wherein she would be forced to have sex with 6 Vikings, violently strangled with a length of rope, finally stabbed by the village matriarch.
And then thrown into the peat bog.
Maybe.
Maybe. That is totally brutal.
This disgusting ritual would finally end when the bodies of the chief and slave girl were placed on a wooden ship and set alight in an attempt to ensure that she would serve her master in the afterlife. The copious sexual rites were a bizarre attempt to transform the chief's life force. There you go.
That's very, that's pretty old world there.
I don't like it.
Man.
I don't like it. You want to do a couple more here, or are you...
I don't want to end on that one.
Well, it's not like any of them are happy.
Well, there's got to be a better one than that. That's
a better one? A less macabre one? Is that what you're asking for?
Oh, I don't know. I'll take whatever you got.
We have here the Danse Macabre. It's Danse. So I'm pronouncing
that's a Stephen King book.
The name of this article, the Danse. Am I pronouncing that right? Danse? Danse?
Yeah, that's how I always pronounced it. I had the book back in the 80s.
Yeah, it says, okay, the namesake of this article, the Danse Macabre, or Dance of Death, okay, is a type of allegorical art form manifesting itself in theater, dance, and music, dealing with the haunting specter of death. With origins in France and beginning in the Middle Ages, the dance would typically consist of a personification of death summoning people of different backgrounds, usually a nobleman, a child, the Pope, and a simple peasant. They would all dance towards a gravesite or cemetery. Skeletons would be reanimated to join in on the dance during the long procession to a mass grave. The ghastly imagery and attempt to normalize death. Just like eating people supposedly normalizes death.
People.
The Danse Macabre most likely has roots in the fear and tragedy spawned by the 100-Year War, wherein death never differentiated between kings and laborers. All were one. Tradition is meant to underscore the fragility of life and the inherent vanity of material possessions. one wasn't bad, really, at all.
No, not bad at all. The Danse Macabre.
Well, just in time for one last one. Morning jewelry and death photography. Yeah, this stuff is kind of... Yeah, there's a picture here that I don't like.
Well, what's the picture? You must describe it.
Well, a dead girl with her dead sister sitting next to her.
Oh, my.
Or she might be living. I can't... Oh.
It's a piece of artwork or it's a photograph?
Well, let's learn together, shall we?
Okay.
No, it's a photo.
Let's learn together.
The Victorian era is noted for significant advancements in technology, societal infrastructure, and cultural norms. However, it also gave birth to more offbeat traditions, particularly when it came to accepting death as part of the cycle of life. One notable and ever so morbid fad was the making of memorial jewelry to commemorate the passing of a beloved.
Mm-hmm.
Before photography was discovered in the latter part of the Victorian age, snipping a thick lock of hair from the head of the deceased to create a locket or braiding it into a kind of bizarre ornament was de rigueur. De rigueur. While creating... I apologize to all French people out there. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. While creating jewelry from a lock of hair may be seen as a bit romantic, more morbid creations were made using teeth, bones, so on and so forth, and they're all incorporated into flashy adornments such as rings and cufflinks. Hey, look at my cufflink. It's a tooth of my uncle.
You know, these things, the hair pieces are they're very, very collectible.
I'm sure they are.
And there are people that collect these things quite passionately.
Oh man, I couldn't do it. Now, with the advent of photography came an even more macabre fashion, snapping a photo with the corpse of your loved one. Yep, that's what that photo was. Countless images have survived this peculiar moment in history. Documenting a little boy holding his dead brother, for example, forcing the body to stand upright for the camera. Oh boy, I'm in on that. Yeah, because that picture is of a little girl. She's leaning up against her dead sister, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Oh.
And those are extremely collectible and valuable as well.
Could you collect those, Mike?
I do not. The closest I ever got, well, you remember the story that when I was in that old abandoned farmhouse with my dad.
Yes, I do.
And I heard kids playing outside where, there was nobody there. It was out in the middle of nowhere. But then I found that picture of the small little casket that was surrounded by these little kids. And to me, I thought it looked like it was in the yard of that house that I was in.
Damn.
So it was interesting finding that, but then hearing kids playing outside, little kids.
Dang.
It was interesting.
Maybe you were hearing some sort of residual experience.
Yeah, I would say that it probably would be a residual, yeah.
And on that happy moment, Mike, we did it. We did it. It's been a month, and we're back.
We are back, yes.
Is it going to take us another month to get the next one out?
No, it will not. It cannot, and it shall not. It shan't.
It shan't.
It shan't
and
happen.
We need to get together quickly, hopefully next weekend, Mike, and do a really good Patreon episode.
Yes.
I think that is needed. I mean, what we did, it was funny. I listened to what we managed to record on Saturday before everything went to hell. It's worth it. It's entertaining. Your volume was a little quieter than I hoped it would be, but it was pretty good stuff until we abruptly ended.
Yeah, abruptly ended.
But go check that one out. There was Patreon exclusive episode number 73, Mike. We are one post short of our 400th Patreon post. We need to make something special out of that 400th one.
Yes, we will. We have to. Let's start thinking about it now, or else it'll never get done.
That's awesome. 400 exclusive posts, though, everybody. If you want to support the podcast, if you enjoy listening to us and you want to support us, no better way than to give the Patreon page a shot. You can sign up for as little as $1. 1 month, no obligations. You get access to all sorts of cool, exclusive paranormal stuff from the paranormal poster boy himself, Mike, and myself. I think it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yes. And as the paranormal poster boy, I would like to say that it will be wonderful and fun, and we'll have a great time.
That was good.
That was very good. Yeah.
Way to end on a whimper on that one. That was awesome. I'm kidding. Well, Mike, thanks for making this work, buddy.
Yes.
Knock on wood, everything went smoothly. I haven't published it yet, so I shouldn't have said that. But barring any other tragic podcasting events, this episode will be out shortly, and hopefully you guys may enjoy it. Who the hell knows?
Possibly.
Mike, until next time, my friend, what do our paranormal pals need to do?
Peace out.